The Minister addressed the question very substantially. In fact, took too long to do so. Move to question number 2, David Bennett.
Mr Speaker, my question is to the Minister of Finance. What reports has he received on rising household incomes?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, Westpac has released a report on household income growth since 2008, showing that disposable household incomes adjusted for inflation have risen by $5.7 billion. This is a product of lower household interest payments of $3.3 billion, that is, they're paying less in interest, reduced income taxes of $6.3 billion. Welfare payments increased by $2.7 billion, mainly due to an additional 70,000 people now eligible for national super compared to 2008. Offsetting these increases were reduced interest received on savings by those who have put savings in the bank, despite higher savings rates, and reduced profits for companies, both of these things reflecting difficult economic conditions over the past 4 years.
Supplementary question, David Bennett.
Supplementary question to the Minister. How has household savings changed recently, and what reports has he received on household wealth?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, I think as we're familiar with, official measures show a significant improvement in the last 3 years, from dis-saving of 7.1% of household income in 2007 to just positive household savings more recently. Alongside that, though, there is a maybe confusing report from the Reserve Bank, which has recently highlighted that in measuring household wealth, its statistics exclude some important items. For instance, when they measure household wealth, they don't include equity in farms, they don't include equity in shares in some businesses and commercial properties and forests, nor do they include some types of foreign assets held by New Zealanders. They estimate that when these items are included, household net wealth is in fact $167 billion higher than they thought, or around 25%. That is, Reserve Bank revision of the numbers indicates households may be 25% wealthier than they thought.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, David Bennett.
Supplementary question to the Minister. What steps is the government taking to increase savings and investment, and how will this improve New Zealand's competitiveness and productivity?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, there's plenty to do, and I'm pleased the member mentioned KiwiSaver, because probably the next most significant step is that on the 1st of April, minimum contributions rate to KiwiSaver will rise from 2% for employer and employees to 3% for employers and employees. We would hope that this may have some impact on national savings rates.
Supplementary question, Honourable David Parker.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Does the Minister of Finance agree that the same Westpac report that he quoted says, and I quote, "This analysis does not extend to how these incomes were spent, and so the figures he quoted do not adjust for the increase in GST and other taxes which largely offset the 2010 income tax cuts, except, of course, for the highest earners?"
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, I do agree that the report says that, but the member is drawing the wrong conclusion. In fact, what the figures show is that wage and salary earners and those in the welfare system have had their income supported by government and their incomes have increased. Those who are depending on income from savings and from business have tended to have their incomes dropping, and generally that would mean incomes at the higher end dropping and incomes at the lower end rising, or at least rising faster.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Honourable David Parker.
Is he aware that the latest statistics out from Australia today on income comparisons, which allow income comparisons between New Zealand and Australia to be updated, show that the income gap on a purchase price parity basis has grown from $121 in December 2008 to $179.94 per week, or a difference of $887 earned in New Zealand compared with the Australian, purchase price parity basis earning $1,067 a week.
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, I can't comment on that particular measure, but we would expect that since 2008 up until fairly recently, Australian incomes have grown more because their economy grew significantly faster there for a couple of years than the New Zealand economy. However, to pick up another one of the members' favourite measures, in recent times the New Zealand dollar has risen against the Australian dollar, illustrating the fact that we have reasonably good growth prospects, and there's quite a lot of questioning about Australia's growth prospects. So it could be that over the next 5 years our incomes grow faster than theirs.
Supplementary
question, David Bennett.
Supplementary question to the Minister. What other policies has he seen for saving and investment?
Mr
Honourable
Speaker,
Bill English.
I've seen a number of other policies put forward which the government has disagreed with. Capital gains tax on every business and farm, imposing large costs through a much more expensive emissions trading system, and printing money, which actually is a tax on savers and wage earners. We don't agree with those policies proposed by the opposition parties.
Question number 3, Honourable David Parker.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Economic Development. Was a document